First things first, you morning people are crazy. I have no business being up at this hour. I am the antithesis of somebody that gets up early, gets started to their day. I like that lazy start to it, and I'll stay up grinding all night though. So this is a little bit different for me, but really excited, really glad I was able to power through a little bit of sickness after a long night out last night to bring this for you. But we got our projections done last night, put out our prize picks props. So really just going to cover what we expect to change this morning, because from a strategy perspective, we've got ourselves a puzzle in front of us. In fact, I'd probably call it a labyrinth. It's going to be a little bit hard to break down. There's going to be a lot of different outcomes that we're going to have to talk about because, plays starting at 9:45. So about 15 minutes from now, we're going to start to get an idea of what's changing on the leaderboard. But not all of it is going to be set in stone. So we're going to have to do a little bit of assuming. We're going to talk through a million different outcomes that could happen, at least, for who takes that lead. I mean, somebody could make an eagle there at 18, completely change the complexion of the golf tournament. A lot that we're going to have to keep an eye on. So let's see who we got down there in chat. There are a ton of you down there. The morning people apparently are a big part of the community I didn't know about. Maybe we got to do more morning streams. We got James H down there, who said he smashed across all three slates so far. You love to hear that. Let's make it a fourth in a row there. Eric Campbell and Brad seem to be right along that same type of thought process. I love it. Nick Marsh down there, love to see it. He says Luke is crushing everything this weekend. Week-long Showdown and then whiskeys, and mostly the whiskeys. We have, especially last night, guys, we lost our keys to get into the Airbnb. We had to call the owner at midnight to let us in. It was one of those type of nights. So that's what I'm saying. It's a good thing we got up early here. We had to power through it. I got my coffee. I mean, that's my elixir right there. You get me my coffee in the morning and all things are good. Pretty much recover there in 5 minutes. And hey, we're on the stream here. We're bringing you the goods. I can see a few of you other down there. We got Gary Kerr, Nathan down there. Love to see you guys. Travis Swenson too. Big emphasis on the whiskey. Definitely have to agree with you there. So McThunder down there, at least you're on the East Coast. Yeah, it's 7:30 for you guys. I know it's even more an early person. Robert says no Bengals slapdicks allowed. Yeah, that's pretty much true. And can you discuss a little underdog strategy? So yes, remind me, Robert. So once I'm starting to talk about like GPP lineups and cash lineups at the end, go ahead and remind me then, because that's a perfect time for me to get into that sort of thing, which I've been playing more underdog recently myself. I've gone on there, especially for like the it's like the Showdown contest that they do, but what they did for the entire playoffs, where you had the 3-week event, that was really fun too. So maybe we'll start covering that sort of stuff in the future. If they're going to do those 3-week long things, where it's more of like a best ball fantasy football type of format. I like those. I enjoy it, right? Now, I know it's not as large a market as Draftkings, so I'm not going to get as many views, that sort of thing. But, if I'm enjoying it, I'm sure other people out there will probably too. So maybe I want to get ahead of that. So we'll have to see, Robert, but definitely remind me. We'll touch on that for sure. Gary says self-inflicted flu is the worst. Yeah, I don't need PDLA. We're not at that level. But yeah, it was a fun night last night. We also had a lot of steak. So like steak plus a lot of alcohol, usually results in horrible bowels the next day. We'll just say that, right? And all right, let's hop into this. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to talk through what we know right now, which at this point is quite a bit, right? But a lot can change. So let's see. We're sharing the screen. We're good to go here. Sweet. So top of the leaderboard, we've got Scotty and Xander, right? They're both in the 13th fairway. Well, I guess Scotty's technically in the intermediate, right? If we want to be a little bit technical about it there. But both have really good looks into 13. And I could see either one of these players, taking it 2-3 under par over this stretch. 13, probably, I think both players are going to have a really good birdie look there. They've been thinking about that golf shot for the last 12 hours, and it's a pitching wedge. Might even be a gap wedge for those sort of players into that green. I expect them to have a very good look at it, if not to both birdie number 13. 14 is a difficult hole. It's that almost 540-yard par 4, so maybe not there. But hole 15, with that front pin location, they're also playing from an upper tee box. It's only playing 150 yards. That's certainly a birdie hole if you take a look at it. 16 is a birdie look. It's only 440. 17, same thing. It's also 440 yards. Then you have that par 5 18th. So just because the leaderboard looks like this right now, just understand that a lot can change. A Sun JM, I mean, he could even make a run up the leaderboard. I mean, Rory McIlroy, right? He's only got 2 holes left, but you're talking about somebody who has 17. That's, let's see, the number 11th ranked hole, so it's easier than average. And then you have 18, which is the second easiest hole on the golf course, right? He could go out there, go birdie eagle, put himself there at 18 under par, and probably be, let's say, like 2 shots, maybe 3 shots back of the lead heading into Sunday. And if that happens, I don't think he's going to get the appropriate amount of ownership, right? Rory McIlroy 3 shots back, at this golf course is worth a ton of ownership, right? He probably should be one of the chalky plays. But if he makes that run up the leaderboard, you're probably looking at him being criminally underowned. So these are the sort of things that we have to consider and look out for, right? He could go par birdie, right? And end up 16 under par, which is probably going to be like 5 shots off the lead. Then he's probably going to be owned appropriately, right? Whereas, if you think he has that mega round on Sunday, sure, you can get to Rory McIlroy, which, I'm, newsflash, I'm probably playing him no matter what. I think that he has the firepower to do so, but it would be an even better play, right? If he goes out there and he does something special. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to talk about it as some of the leaderboard is updating as we are on the stream here. JT's on his last hole. Let's see. He has like a tap in birdie. So we pretty much know he's going to finish at 15 under. John Rahm. So John Rahm's had a really up and down day. I mean, he doesn't have 13, so he has one less hole than those guys in the lead, Xander Schauffele and Scotty Scheffler. But he still has 14. I mean, he can make this a birdie look. I mean, he's over there in the rough, but he has a decent angle into that. He has 15, which is really short. Like I mentioned, 16, 17, and 18 are all birdie holes. You got to look out for somebody to go super low here. I mean, I think somebody, right? It could be a John Rahm. Maybe it's a Patrick Cantlay, right? Who's in that same type of situation there. Let's see who else could go off. I mean, Joaquin Niemann even, right? He's there at 12 under par, so it's not like he's going to enter the 18, 19 under par category, right? But let's say he goes birdie, birdie, eagle, right? What that puts him at 16 under par. Let's see. I could be in the top 5 heading into Sunday, and people aren't going to own him like he's top 5 heading into Sunday, right? People made their lineups last night. They're lazy. They're not going to adjust last second for a lot of these changes. I mean, that's what we've noticed. I mean, for the last time that we did Showdown, I thought that the guys, this actually ended up being pretty crazy. I thought the guys that, would be there for Sunday Showdown that showed us a lot of things in the morning might actually get a little bit of ownership. I was like, people are getting smarter, right? Lock was like at like 11 a.m. They really pushed it back today. It's going to be at like 11:16 a.m. So people are going to have plenty of time to make their lineups. People didn't adjust. They went out there. They played pretty much whoever they were taking the day before. A lot of the guys that showed a lot of solid form there just went completely overlooked. And I remember on Sunday, they ended up going off. It was one of the better Showdown slates I've had. The day before was a free roll because of all the things that they screwed up that week, which made it even better, right? Anytime you have a free roll for Showdown, definitely got to take advantage of that. But hopefully today we have a similar type of edge where, we're going to get a lot of information this morning. And last time people didn't react to it. It was a little bit surprising. I thought more people would, right? I thought at least a few of them, right, would be chalky. Like people would be like, okay, yeah, now we got to play this guy. That didn't happen. So I'm looking forward to that from that side. Let's go over to the scoreboard, which today the golf course, it played a lot easier than I expected. So I just want to say that right now. I thought it was going to be more difficult for Saturday because it was getting firmer and faster, which was definitely the case. The golf course was running out a lot more. The greens were a lot harder to stick, but players still took it low. The pin locations for moving day were absolute cupcakes. Especially for those last few holes. You can see all 4 of them are playing under par. You can see 13 is also playing under par. That's why I'm saying like Scotty Scheffler or Xander Schauffele, one of them could really take this low over the next hour or so because 5 of the 6 holes that they're playing are going to be playing under par. And you have one of them that's 2/3 of a shot under, a quarter of a shot there with hole number 16. Just a lot of opportunities to be had. And in general, we had a 3-shot under par average, at least from my memory bank. That's the best scoring average we've had at Eastlake for at least the last 5 years for a single round, which is it's pretty insane. I mean, these guys are the best players in the world, but a lot of the strength of field is weaker this time because of guys going to live. That just tells you how weak or how defenseless this golf course can be when it gets a little bit wet, right? Receptive, when you can just play target practice around Eastlake. On Sunday, it's just going to get firmer and faster. Now, yesterday, it only sprinkled on the golf course. I ended up having to be there with my boys because the Uber would not pick us up. All of us were trying to book an Uber. Not one of us could actually get through. There were like 1,000 people waiting for an Uber there. So Essentially, we just tried to wait it out. We wanted to see if maybe the sell would go by, and it didn't. So it actually went right overhead, which was pretty dumb of our part to still be on the golf course at that point. But we had beers, right? We were having fun out there. We were enjoying it what we could. But yeah, ended up having to leave, but there was really no rain. It sprinkled for like 5 minutes. So we didn't get wet or anything, but the golf course, more importantly, also didn't take in any extra moisture. And today, I mean, it's blue as can be outside right now. It's supposed to be sunny all day. It's also a lot hotter today than we've had for the rest of the week. I mean, I see it just getting marginally more difficult, right? So if it was 3 shots under par, I mean, we're going to get harder pin locations for sure for Sunday. Maybe it plays to 2 shots under par. I think it could be an entire stroke difference, right? I don't think it's going to play at a 1.2 strokes under like you usually see at East Lake. I don't think it's going to make a complete flip around because you still had a ton of rain over the last few weeks. You still had a ton of rain this week, right? That's still going to stay saturated there for quite some time. One hot day, one perfect day of weather like we have today in Atlanta isn't going to completely bake out the golf course. But I do think that it's still, it's going to play more difficult and what we saw here for Saturday. And then even these guys playing in the morning here, I mean, I think that they might be in slightly harder conditions than the guys were out there yesterday, right? Because I can almost guarantee you, I mean, this is the best scoring average we've seen around East Lake for quite some time, that the green staff, the PGA Tour staff, didn't put any water on the golf course. They don't want to see that happen again. It's not really a pride thing. It's just more a competitive factor sort of thing, right? You don't want to go out there and be giving guys birdies around a golf course that's meant to be your Super Bowl. It's meant to be your capstone event. There's a reason why East Lake has been chosen for this venue. It's difficult. There's a lot of strategy. It rewards really accurate, precise play. And to this point, it's kind of done that. I mean, look at the leaderboard, right? McIlroy, Im, Schauffele, Scheffler, all guys we expected, Justin Thomas, right? It's rewarding the guys that deserve it. I mean, even Patrick Cantlay, guys, he's like losing a ton of strokes putting this week. Yet he's up there in the top 5 just because of how well he's hitting the ball. I mean, that's deserving. That's what you want to see a golf course, right? I mean, Hideki, same thing. He's hitting the ball unbelievably this week. Now he's making a few putts too. That's helping his case. That's why he's made it up into the top 10 at this point. But that's the type of golf course that you want to look after. So even though it's an easy golf course, it's still rewarding the right type of skill set. So I do expect them to make it maybe a little bit more difficult here for Sunday, but I don't think they have to, Rick. Maybe that's just my spiel, my little soapbox thing to them there. It's still rewarding the right type of player. So at least for me, right? Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm in contention in all the GPPs. At this point, I'm having a lot of success this week. I've literally, the only thing I didn't profit on was prize picks yesterday. Like everything else, prize picks every day, showdown every day, 4-round lineups every day have looked really good. Still have lineups in contention in the large field GPP, a few in the top 100. Just maybe that's why I think the golf course is playing the right way, right? Because I wanted to continue to play that way so that my guys play well. But hey, maybe it's selfish, maybe it's not. The weather here for Sunday looks beautiful too. So I mentioned it. It's clear all day. You can see Windfinder is backing that up, particularly right now. It's beautiful out there. The wind gusts, when they get playing here in about a minute, are going to be just 5 to 6 miles an hour. That's pretty much right in line of what we have in terms of your sustained winds. So pretty much non-existent when it comes to the weather out there. And by the afternoon, it's the same. You can see there's a little bit more cloud cover, which for us spectators is going to be pretty good thing. It's going to keep us a little bit cooler. But the wind gusts are non-existent. So I mean, from the conditions perspective, we had the same exact conditions for Saturday. So I don't think it's going to be drastically different. I don't think, it's going to be, it's going to be a lot easier to go out there and play tomorrow, or to say today. Gosh, my timing's all off, guys. Again, it's early. I got to get more coffee in my system. That's what it's telling me. But conditions look good. There's not going to be any sort of advantage, right? There's 30 players. There's guys that just have to finish up this morning that we're going to keep an eye on there. But no matter when you're playing, you're going to be looking at really solid conditions for these players. What we're going to do now is I'm going to bring up the player pool side, and we're going to track how these guys are playing. So we're going to look at Scotty Scheffler. We're going to look at Xander Schauffele, see how they're dueling it out here over the next maybe half an hour here on stream. We'll probably do like a 45-minute stream here in total, maybe a little bit longer if things are getting interesting from that sweat side. But what we're going to do now is talk through the player pool, kind of like the implications of certain scenarios as they play out. So we're going to go through that. Let me go ahead and bring up PGA Tour on the other tab here. Let's see. Yeah, I have the right one sharing. Make it a little bit bigger. And let's see what we've got going on. So Xander has not hit into the green yet, at least per my knowledge. Let me go ahead and bring it up on shot tracker. I mean, it's 9:46, right? I don't think they're going to take too long to hit this first shot. So let's see what we've got. Let's bring up both players. Yeah, they still haven't hit yet. So I guess we'll visit that whenever they actually go out there and hit their shots. But hey, this hole 13 is a break hole. Like I mentioned, it's playing a little bit under par, pretty much like all the holes there on the back nine. It has a 22% birdie rate. Not many bogeys on it, right? So it's, kind of a boring hole, only 6 birdies on the day and whatnot. But if you end up adding your name to that list, I mean, that's how you take this place nuclear low, right? Because those last 4 holes you're looking at 30% plus birdie rates on. It's like 26%, 26, and then you have a 60% birdie rate there at the last. Just again, there it's to be had out there. So let's see if this go ahead and update. Let's click on Xander. Sometimes, they still have not hit their shots. Okay, is what it is. But in terms of the player pool, right, like ownership wise, you can see I have Scotty right there at 42%. One thing to note is that it's just based on the score right now. So before anything unfolds here, I just ran my projections as I typically would, assuming they played all 18 holes. So you can see over here, I have this holes played tab. That's just to let you know how far he actually got through their round or how accurate their projections are going to be. For somebody down here, like 18 holes played, Victor Hovland, right? I feel really good about his projections today, right? Like I pretty much know where he's going to be starting. I know kind of how many shots back he's going to be. So I feel pretty good about his projected ownership number. Maybe it sways a little bit because of movement in the guys around him. But that's why I went ahead and did that. So if you're on the Patreon page, you're looking at the spreadsheets on your end. That's how I did all of these projections. And for the ownership numbers over here, it's the same sort of thing, right? So it's not just for projected points. Did the same thing for projected ownership. So things are going to change, right? Understand that, right? I guess the numbers are I'm not even going to try to say the word. They work. We can look at them now, right? Because the round hasn't, started yet. We haven't had any movement. But 31% Patrick Cantlay, that's significantly lower than Xander Schauffele. I have Xander Schauffele as the highest owned player on the slate. Let's see. Rory McIlroy, I have at 29%. That's actually relatively low for this range. And like I mentioned, if he goes birdie eagle there and puts himself into contention, you could be looking at like a 35% owned Rory McIlroy. You should probably be closer to 50% because he's only $9,700, right? I mean, you could take him as a second man into lineups. I mean, you could start with, let's say, Scotty or Xander. You want to go one of those two directions and then take your second man as a Rory McIlroy. I think that makes a lot of sense. So you can see I talked about him before. He's 100% going to be in my player pool. It's just how much, right? If he goes out there and he does something special, I might be locking him into all my lineups. Like it might be that sort of play for me because I think he's going to be criminally underowned, right? And that's a situation that I want to take advantage of because we're up here earlier than everyone else. First off, I want to catch up on chat. There's actually a couple super chats down there. You're an absolute legend, Sack. What's going on? Let's touch on those first. Sack says Nemo will get minus 11 today. If he shoots a 59, that'd be awesome. By the way, I had a dream last night. You just reminded me, Sack, that someone shot a 58. Not going to happen. 58's not going to happen around East Lake, but I did have a dream that happened, which actually be one better than minus 11. That's pretty crazy. But thank you for the super chat, Sack. That is completely unnecessary, but always appreciated. That's for sure. And he also did a $5 one. This guy's just raining money on me right now, dude. You're absolutely ridiculous. Awesome. And he says, let's do a couple. I'll play something like this lineups on DraftKings. Fitzy got an eagle on the 18th. He did. Okay, that's pretty sweet. That's gonna help out his case there a little bit. Might change my opinion on him because I think at this point I wasn't planning on playing Fitz, but hey, an eagle getting him 2 more spots that actually might make a little difference there. And yeah, we're definitely going to do that. We're going to go through a few lineups, particularly when we see some of the movement here, talking about how I'm going to go about that. So yeah, I'll definitely remember to do that, Sack. Let's see what else we've got going down here. Let's see. Are you going with Spieth again? Yes, I am. I'm always going to play Spieth at these golf courses, particularly if I'm there in person, but he's not going to be a lock for me. I didn't end up locking him yesterday. I guess I shouldn't have said I was going to lock him. I played him in 70% of my lineups though. So it was close to a lock, right? But I didn't want to completely corner myself. I had an okay day in Showdown, but 70% Jordan Spieth was a bad idea, right? I actually had a slightly negative ROI day pretty much because of that. But I knew what I was signing up for, right? If you went out there and you played a conservative player pool, you smashed yesterday. I have a unreasonable love for Jordan Spieth, but I'm very upfront about that, right? Like, I let you guys know how ridiculous it is, so you guys don't go out there and make those same boneheaded mistakes that I do. Sway says, I've been loving playing on Underdog. Yeah, me too. And I've seen you in drafts before, Sway. You've probably seen me down there too. I've seen you in a few of them. You draft pretty sharply. Sean says, I started watching you a few weeks ago and you're doing a hell of a job. Just wanted to say to keep up the good work. Well, I appreciate that, Sean. Love to have you here. Hopefully we can bring you some profit here for Sunday. Neiman wins it. Stop it, Luke. Let's see. I mean, where's he at, right? Like, let me bring him up here on the PJ. And by the way, Scheffler hit it to 5 feet and he made it for, oh no, let's see. So Xander, did he birdie? Did he hit it to 22 inches? Is that a thing? Is that legit? I think Xander may have hit it. No, he didn't. So Xander ended up parring. Scotty has a 5-foot birdie putt that he's about to hit. So we'll have to see if he ends up birdieing that hole. Xander, Shot Tracker was tripping out saying his third shot was 13 inches. I was like, did he really hit it to 1 foot? And there you go. Scotty Scheffler went out there and made his birdie putt. So now Xander Schauffele is minus 20, has a 2-shot lead over the rest of the field, which first off for my 4-round lineups is sweet. Same thing for prize picks. You love to see that. I need him to go on a little bit of a run there for my prize picks lineups. But yeah, that's going to help his case, right? I have him down as a yes. We're going to talk about him here in a second. I think that yesterday was just one of your bad days with golf. I mean, everyone's been there before. Everyone that's a golfer, it's played before, knows this. You're going to wake up sometimes and you're just not going to have it. It's not going to be your day. Honestly, with anything, right? It can be golf, it can be life, just a million different things. Sometimes you're just not going to have it from day to day. That's what it looked like for Scott yesterday. Like, it wasn't horrible golf, but he sure shit wasn't playing the golf that he was looking for, right? He was trying to be a lot sharper on approach. He was hitting balls to like 25 feet all day. He's got to be hitting it to like 5 to 10 feet, right? That's kind of his thing. Just world-class approach player, if not the best approach player in the world. I mean, he's getting to that level at this point. He wasn't doing that. And then, when he was sticking at the 20 feet, he wasn't making any putts. And that's kind of his thing, right? He doesn't make those 20-foot putts all that often. So hopefully that first iron shot, right, he hit the 5 feet, is a sign of things to come. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. I still have the shot tracker up for that group. Let's see if anything else happened around the golf course. So Sunji M hasn't done anything. He parred the par 3, so he did not make the birdie putt. Justin Thomas did tap in on 18, so he's taken it to 15 under. Rory McIlroy hit a dart to 13 feet, so I'll take it back. That's not a dart. Okay, that's just a good shot. A dart's got to be like 3 feet or less. I completely over-exaggerated that one. But hey, maybe he makes that 13-footer, can go to 18, make an eagle. Hey, that would be pretty sweet. Again, like I mentioned, I think Rory McIlroy could make a little bit of a charge here. We'll have to see. Let's see what John Rahm. John Rahm is had to hack out of the woods. He had to hit on the green. He has 20 feet for par. So that is, for any John Rahm backers out there, that is not a good thing for your camp. For Patrick Cantlay, he is also on that same green in 3 shots. So that 540-yard par 4 that goes downhill is playing absolute havoc on these players. And he has 30 feet for par. So again, if you're in that John Rahm, Patrick Cantlay group, you're probably a little bit worried about it. But it looks like Patrick Cantlay just drained the par putt. He did. He just made it from 28 feet. So, hey, if you're a Patrick Cantlay fan, you're feeling pretty good about that. But John Rahm now has 20 feet for par 2, so he's probably missing that. But hey, who knows? We just saw Patrick Cantlay make it. Let's see. Tom Hoagie is 17 under. It looks like he parred hole number 17. Joaquin Niemann is on hole 16, so he's playing alongside Joaquin. I was going to say Joaquin Niemann again, but Sunjay M, and he is in the middle of the fairway. So hopefully, again, for Sack out there, wanted to check on your boy Joaquin Niemann. He can go out there and make that putt for you. So we may actually have to shift the setup here. I'm just realizing that my charge on my computer is super low, so I may actually have to turn it the other direction. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. So bear with me here, guys. I'm going to make a little shift. Hopefully it doesn't unplug anything. If the mic unplugs or the camera does, just know that it'll be back in no time. So give me 1 second here. It might not. We might be good to go. Oh, boy. All right, hopefully you can hear me now and we're good. Had to move that setup around. Hopefully too many of you guys didn't leave there. So let me see if there's in the comments there if it's back. If it's back and you guys can hear me, go ahead and let me know that. That would be fantastic. But now you can kind of see Atlanta behind me. You can see the good weather out there, that blue sky. And let me go ahead and get this charger plugged in now before I lose you guys on the power end, because that would kind of suck. But hopefully you can hear me. We're good to go. If you can, again, let me know down in chat. That would be super clutch. Let me go ahead and check on the settings side. Let's see. Looks like the camera's there. It looks like my Yeti microphone's working, so I'm assuming we're good. Yep, we are good. Thank you so much there. Let's see. Let me see where we are in chat. We have Sway Beats Boss who says like, share, and subscribe. I could not agree more. Make sure to hit that like button if you guys are in here early. Again, early streams for me are something I might do more often if this is something that you guys enjoy. Let's see. Eric says, will the course be set up the same as it was yesterday? So it is right now for the guys that are playing this morning. Between the entire rounds, they will change the golf course. So pin locations will be different. They'll probably use a few different tee locations too. And they may actually even do some maintenance work. They might do a little bit of green rolling to try and make them a little bit firmer and faster. That's why they have like a half an hour to an hour between the rounds. So they can go out there and get holes like 1, 2, 3, and 4 done. And then, while Joaquin Niemann and the rest of the groups are playing holes 1 through 4, they'll go to 5. They're going to go to 6 and do their setup thing, right? So they have it all planned out already. They do a lot of preparation work to do that sort of thing, and they'll go ahead and be able to execute on that. So yeah, Eric, it will look a lot different for sure. Although they have a little bit less time to set it up, that's for sure. David says, good morning, Luke. Thoughts on fading players like Decky who went low yesterday? So yeah, you've been here for quite some time. You kind of know that's my strategy. I'm always looking to fade guys that are going to be a lot higher owned than they should be. The thing with Decky is he had a good round in round 1, had a pretty decent round 2. I mean, today obviously shot -7, shot the absolute course off of the planet, just was playing a completely different course than most of the guys out there. He's never been highly owned. Like even after round 1, people didn't want to get to him because of his quote unquote injury concerns. There for Saturday Showdown, right? For yesterday, I played him because first off, I like what I'm seeing, particularly from some of the iron shots he's hitting. Looks like our Hideki Matsuyama of old. No one was playing him. Like even today, he was like 20% owned in some of the large field GPPs, and that's far too low. So I expect him to be maybe, let's see, do I have him down here on the sheet? I think I might have put him down. Let's see. I did, right? And I have him at 20% owned. That's why I like him as a play. I don't have him being, a lot higher owned than he should be. I mean, let's see, comparable guys on the scoreboard. We have like a Max Home up here and Aaron Wise. He's like 3-4% higher owned than them at most. And some of them are higher owned than somebody like a Hideki Matsuyama. And you're getting him at what, $6,900, super cheap on the slate. Just, I think there's a lot of upside there. So I'm going to be playing Hideki. And I don't think people are coming around on it. Like people are still scared to play him for whatever reason. And I think that he's completely over the injury. Gary says Niemann is playing for Liv after this tournament. Yeah, I saw that too. Mito Pereira as well. Let's see. Arnaban Lahiri was one of those players. I think Cam Young's probably going to go. Same thing with Cam Smith. So we'll have to see there. A lot of players probably going to go. Which yeah, we've seen coming for quite some time, right? They're going to get their FedEx Cup money and then probably bounce on out of there, which makes sense from a business standpoint. I can't blame them at all. Nick says, get him sack. You got an outright bet on Niemann. I love it. Okay. I'll be rooting for you a little bit today. Bill says, Fitz eagled 18. Sweet. Mark says, you missed you yesterday. Thanks for jumping on this morning. Yeah, that was always the plan. Because of the weather delay, it's hard to go live at night. It doesn't really make as much sense. Let's go ahead and check up on the leaderboard, see what's going on. That's always important here. So Scotty Scheffler on the really difficult hole hit a bomb off the tee, 314 down the fairway, has 218 in, should be in a good position to go out there, make a par. Whereas Xander Schauffele has hit it into the right side rough. So it looks like he probably had some side spin on it. Only got it out there 253 yards and has 279 in out of some rough, Bermuda grass rough. And let me go ahead and bring it up on Shot Tracker because there's a good chance that he's blocked out, that he's deep there in a forest. He's going to have to do a little bit of creative work. In fact, he's even hit a provisional, which, of course, second golfer is always tour championship worthy. Split the fairway with the provisional shot. So in terms of his tee shot, we'll have to see what happens there. I mean, the fact that he's hit a provisional probably isn't a good sign. We could see a little bit of I don't want to say it, but a little bit of a blow up or ejection here from somebody like Xander. So that might be a thing to keep an eye on. If that happens, hey, Scotty could realistically have a 4-shot lead here soon. So that might change things. I don't want to say it'll make him a lock for Sunday Showdown, but it'll definitely affect his ownership number at least a little bit. Even though I don't expect that many people to react to this news, like I mentioned, people are kind of lazy. They don't go through with all their analysis. I do think that he's going to be a little bit higher round, right? Some people are going to come around on it. Let's see what else we've got. So Rory McIlroy birdied 17. You love to see it. So made that 13-footer, and of course, because it's Rory McIlroy, will certainly have a chance to get home in 2 at 18. I mean, just he hits a good drive here. Let's see. That's still Xander Schauffele. Apparently found his golf ball, was able to hack out, get it to 117 yards. So going to have to get up and down from there to save that par, which is pretty unlikely at that hole. So we'll have to see. And I'm assuming Scotty's going to hit here soon. So let me go ahead and see what's going on with Scotty. Scotty Too Hottie, as they call him. And he did. Oh, no, he did not hit. Not yet, at least. So we'll keep that up. We'll wait for that shot tracker to load in. Yeah, like I said, Scotty could have a 4-shot lead here soon. Or I guess because he found his golf ball, maybe more realistically, at least a 3-shot lead. Let's see with Sanjay M. So Sanjay hit a dart, but he did not make his birdie putt. So he's going to par 17. We have Petra Cantlay hit a really good shot on the par 3 to right about 13 feet. So he might be picking up a birdie. John Rahm did bogey that hole where he had to end up, hacking out, had that 20-foot par putt, was unable to make it, but also much like Cantlay hit a really good shot to 10 feet. So he's going to have a birdie look there. Let's see what else we've got. Joaquin Niemann hit a pretty good shot on 16, but was unable to cash in. So we'll hopefully, for Sack's sake out there, go out there, maybe make a birdie eagle, like a Rory McIlroy is looking to do. But let's check on Scotty Scheffler. Let's see if he's hit a shot. He hit it to 30 feet, which is what all you want on this hole. Hole number 15, it's 14. Just get it in the fairway. You have to hit driver, right? It's 540 yards. So you got to hit that fairway. Get it on the green 2-putt. And you're going to gain, let's see how many shots to the field. Today, you're going to gain quarter of a stroke to the field just doing that, right? And let's see, there's been 1 birdie on the day. So whoever did that gained 1.24 shots to the field. So it's a hole that you're just trying to survive on, just trying not to put a big number there. Let's see, Xander has not hit his wedge shot yet, so I'll let you know how that goes. But in terms of the player poll, let's hop back into this. Let's see if there's any more questions too. Joseph says, DFS Luke, enjoy your show. Love to have you, Joseph. Love to have you here. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. Let's see what we've got. Wild Turkey says Xander hits his provisional. Yeah, I saw that. He's all good, though, so he did find his ball. Ben Snappin says, are we starting with placement points? So, yes. So, on the sheet here, too, I have the placement points on there, right? But they reflect the leaderboard right now. So, before any of this movement this morning, I went ahead and just ran my projections based on the current leaderboard, which is not going to be, what it looks like here in about 30 minutes, right? Particularly if Xander's were to double bogey or something like that, and Scotty has a 4-shot lead. I mean, I'd be projecting him for well over 60 points at that point because of some of the placement points that he's getting. Just so yeah, it's up to date as of this morning, right before play. So all the placement points. So yes, that should answer your question there. You guys can hear me. Good to go. Sweet. Let's see. Robert says Homa just drilled a 29-footer for par. Good for him. That's pretty awesome. Same thing with Cantlay. He also made like a 30-footer. Nick Mars says, are you not going to break down the end of the DP World Tour? Yeah, that's not going to happen. Sorry. I'm not the DP World Tour tout like you, Nick Mars. I'm not an expert on all those guys, but maybe you should do one. Hey, you could always start up a YouTube channel and do that. You know a lot more about it than me, that's for sure. Robert says, Rory Birdie 17, love to see it. Yeah, we're just catching up on that. Sack says, I enjoy this early stuff. If you could do a before lock and round review pre-recorded videos. Yeah, I'm thinking about it, man. I like these early videos. I mean, I'm usually up. I'm just not a morning person, so maybe morning stream for me, it'd be like 10 a.m. Eastern time, probably not like 8 or 9 a.m., but we'll have to see, dude. I kind of like it. Deep Purple says, Decky should also not be 6,900. Yeah, particularly if he's up there in the top 10 already. Don Austin says, no takedowns here yet, but your takes on the slates are super valuable and almost always spot on. Love to hear it, Don. Your takedowns coming soon. Can't always win one, right? But hey, if you feel like you're getting closer, you're getting up there in contention from time to time, you're probably on the right track. Winning a DFS, particularly in a large field contest, is hard, right? You're playing against 50,000 other people. You got to beat 50,000 other entries, right? That's an accomplishment if you can do it. So keep your head up, man. As long as you're getting into contention, it's all good in my book, to be honest. DFS says, are we fading Hoagie or is he too cheap to be playing well? So yeah, we'll talk about some of the cheaper guys. I'm a little bit more willing to fade the guys down low. There's a few of those cheaper players that I like getting to. Hoagie's actually one of them. But in terms of like a general strategy, you got to be a little bit more careful about them, right? So just to give you an idea, like Sepp Straka, for example, I kind of worry about him here for the last round. And I think he's also going to be relatively chalky. Let's see, like Hideki, I don't worry about, right? I think he looks fantastic right now. Let's see. I mean, I guess outside of that, like JT Poston, like I actually feel a little bit better about him than some of these other guys down low. I mean, I feel a lot better about his skill set, his pedigree, than I do somebody like a Sepp Straka. So, for example, when there's $100 difference there, and in terms of my ownership numbers, I have Sepp think like 10, maybe even like 7-10% higher owned than somebody like a JT Poston. I'd rather make that pivot because you're still dealing with a showdown slate. You're still getting a majority, 90% of your points from how you play. It's not all about the placement points, right? So, if JT Poston goes out there and just outperforms Sepp Straka, he's most likely also going to be him from the fantasy point perspective. So, I think a lot of people get too caught up with some of the placement points down low. And I guess Tom Hoagie, the reason why I'm willing to play him is he's lower owned than Sepp Straka, right? And it's a small slate, so we have to play majority of the field. So I got to eat some pieces of chalk down low, right? And I like Tom Hoagie. I think he's a lot better player than his peers. This year was very consistent, had a lot of top 10 finishes. Guys like Sepp Straka got in here because of his late run at the end and his one win at the Honda, right? He's kind of been that boomer bust type of guy, which, I don't want to say that's a bad thing, right? There's an art form to going out there, winning, having those ceiling performances. But if we're trying to play this from like a long-term plus EV perspective, Tom Hoagie's going to beat Sepp Straka, like on a head-to-head perspective, at least 60% of the time. At least. Like, he's a lot more consistent. He's just a better player than Sepp Straka. I'd almost always want to make those sort of pivots. And now, what is he? He's like $300 more expensive. So, it's not a $100 pivot like what we had with Sepp Straka and JT Poston. But that's the type of mindset that I'm using here for Sunday Showdown. And why ownership projections, the ones I put out for you guys on Patreon, are so useful, right? They're the only ones out there in the industry, by the way. I'm the only one who does that. And it's just as useful for 4-round contests, right? I think a lot of people do that. You have pretty sharp ownership because of that in 4-round contests, because of the plethora out there of ownership projections. But for Showdown, right, they're hard to find. So people kind of just play their numbers blindly, and you can take advantage of that. So that's why I'm trying to make those pivots, right? Even more so for Showdown than anything else, are you going to have ownership pivots that you can make? But just because the ownership projections aren't out there, right? People don't have that same information to act on. So I'm actually going to grab my coffee. It's right behind me. So one second here. Got these chairs here that are like, they sink in. They're like old time chairs. They sink in. They're orange. They're kind of funny. Let's see what we've got. So Joaquin. Yeah. Joaquin. Yeah. He's not really joining the Live for like bad reasons. I have this conversation all the time here. When people go and like get more money in a job, right? Promotion, like it's usually looked at as a good thing. And these players are getting a huge promotion, a huge level up in their lifestyle, right? They're going from being, well off, people that are going to have a lot of I don't want to say like maybe just one generation's worth of wealth, right? Like they're going to be rich. Their kids are also going to be really well off for their lives. But the money that they're getting from Live now is like generations for like 3 or 4 sets of generations worth of wealth. It's like a different, like you have to understand that like if you were in that situation, you'd probably go too. And I think a lot of people that won't admit that are kind of lying to themselves. And that's all I'm going to say about Live. I'm not going to give this whole spiel about it. I would just say that if you were in that situation, I doubt that you would be turning down the money. In fact, I'd argue that like 99% of people would take it. I would, that's for sure. Ben Snabbin says Rom or Im on DraftKings. That's going to be Rom for me. I think that Im's going to be one of the higher owned plays on the slate. So I have him down as a no. We'll talk about him a little bit there. I'm at 31.3%. And I guess it depends on how he plays here. So let me go ahead and check up on that. So Sun James on 17, he had a pretty good shot, so he's going to have a birdie look from 20 feet. So we'll have to see if he cashes in. And Scotty did make par, and Xander did make bogey. So kind of like we expected, it is a 3-shot lead now. And Rory McIlroy is on the par 5 in 2 and has a 42-foot eagle putt. So probably not making it. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Jordan Spieth almost made his eagle putt from pretty much that same distance yesterday. So maybe Rory can get it in. But hey, a 2-putt there for birdie to put him at just 3 shots back. Hey, I'm loving myself some Rory McIlroy. I know we talked about it off the top that I thought he would be one of the guys I definitely had my eye on, particularly if he's there at minus 17, just 3 back. I think that makes a lot of sense. And see, Xander Wedge was good. That's good. So good thing that he went out there and bogeyed. I don't want him to be too far back because I have him in my 4-run lineups too. Just, I guess for Showdown in general, I want Scotty to win. So I'm kind of rooting for him. But yeah, we'll have to see. Let's see what we've got. Don Austin says, when you think about starting a build with Matsuyama and Connors and going from there, you can't do that. Don Austin, you're going to be leaving like $10,000 salary on the table. I would not do that. Unless you're saying like start from the bottom and build up, just like in terms of how you're picking into players, then that would be okay. But if you're talking about like those are your most expensive players, that's a hard pass for me. Justin Sports says, any cheap punts on the GPP winning radar? Let's see. Yeah, we're going to talk about a few of them. So let me bring it up. I mean, JT Poston, right? We kind of talked about him. I think he's just a better player than his peers. I kind of tipped my hand on Tom Hoagie. I like him. If you're talking about punts in terms of like super low owned plays, there's a few like Sahith Theegala, right? I mean, he's going to be super low owned. He's $6,200. Definitely a punt when it comes to some of your salary usage and ownership usage, right? He almost immediately will make your lineup unique if you use them today. So, hey, Sahith Theegala is probably in that book. Billy Horschel, too. He loves the golf course. He loves Bermuda grass. Now, yesterday, he started horribly. He hit a shot directly into the trees, bogeyed the first hole. Kind of knew it wasn't going to be his day, but he still made like 4 or 5 birdies. Still got it, put up a pretty respectable score from the fantasy perspective. Definitely, put you into the money. It wasn't a bad thing for Showdown yesterday. Hey, he's got to get to that ceiling round, right? He can't be hitting the balls into the woods. I mean, that's just a thing for Billy Ho. He's got to be hitting the ball accurately off the tee to go out there and have the type of round that we're looking for. And I'm always willing to play him in Showdown. He's like kind of one of those guys, like a Cameron Tringale. Let's think Peter Manotti is on that list. Wyndham Clark is also one of the players. Scott Stallings is usually on that list, but now that he's a chalk donkey in the top 30, it's not really the same thing with Scott Stallings. Sahith Theegala, same type of boat. All these very volatile, like nuclear type of players where like they go in streaks that are ridiculous. Keith Mitchell is another one of those players. I mean, I'm just going to keep thinking of more and more of them. They're almost always, and Jordan Spieth's one of them, they're always going to be in my player pool because they're capable of getting to scores that other players just aren't capable of getting to. There's players that are scared of going low. And just to give you an idea, like John Rahm's one of them. John Rahm does not shoot like 9-10 under par rounds. Like he's never even come close to sniffing 60 or 59 very often. I mean, sure, in practice rounds that he does, right? He doesn't have that pressure, but he doesn't go on those sort of runs like a Justin Thomas can, a Rory McIlroy can, right? These guys that are just can get nuclear hot. Those are the type of guys that I like taking here in Showdown. And down low, Sahith Theegala, like I mentioned, could be one. I mean, I guess Scott Stallings. I mean, he's not going to be that chalky, right? Because he's played pretty dog shit to this point. I'm pretty happy I didn't play him in my 4-round lineups. Let's see. I guess Billy Ho. I mean, yeah, that's probably it, right? We don't have a lot to choose from there, but those sort of guys, more than capable of getting to that ceiling performance. Nick Mars says Hoagie is a great play, says the Hoagie Whisperer. That's good to know. So, hey, if I like him, but more importantly, if Nick likes him, who hit him there at Pebble Beach, hey, that makes him an even better play. I love it. Rory has a 30-foot eagle putt. Let's see if he makes it. That would be fantastic. He hit the putt and he hit it to 3 feet. So he's got a 3-footer for birdie. Hopefully he can clean that up. On hole number 15, Xander hit a dart. He hit it to 8 feet. Pretty solid shot there. And of course, Scotty Scheffler hit it to 5 feet. So hopefully Scotty can get another birdie there. Let's see. So he had 1 birdie on the front 9. So that would be his 3rd. Yeah, I need him to go on a run here, guys. I need him to make that and make 2 more birdies to hit my prize picks lines. You're going to see a very, very, very happy Luke on stream if that happens. It's like a $3,000 swing for me. So I will definitely be watching on that. Yeah, no whiskey in the coffee, that's for sure. Today is going to be a no alcohol day for me, that's for sure. I need a recovery day out here, and it's hot, and then I got to drive home. So yeah, definitely no alcohol in my system. And Sean says JT seems to be heating up. Thoughts on him? So yeah, I like JT. He's along the same lines of a Rory McIlroy, right? That Jordan Spieth. There's players that can get hot in a hurry. I mean, you saw it today, right? He shot 7 under par, right? What do you make, like 8 birdies on the day? Yeah, he hit a bogey, so he had 8 birdies on the day. He's one of the few players that can actually get 8 or 9 birdies in a single round. Now, he did it today, so I don't know if he's as likely to go out there and do it again. I mean, that'd be pretty hard to, go out there and replicate, but he's capable of it, right? It's Justin Thomas, right? If anybody's going to do that, it's going to be JT. So maybe keep an eye on it. It looks like Rory did get the 3-footer for birdie, so he's there at 17 under, in prime position to move up the leaderboard. So you'll love to see that. Let's see what we've got. Min Snappin says, my last question. Yeah, all good. Hey, there's no limit to the questions. You can ask as many as you need. I'm probably being annoying. You're not. Scott, Billy, or Connors. That would be Billy for me. And you're in a cash game. Yeah, Billy Ho for me, to be honest with you. And he said, Im missed the birdie. Good. I hate to say good, but he's like the one guy up top that I don't have. So good. That's a good thing. Hopefully he can somehow not birdie 18. That'd just be the cherry on top there. So all right. What we're gonna do now, let's see. Let's talk through some prize pick stuff, and then I'm gonna let the board marinate a little bit more, right? Let's see if there's any more movement in terms of scores. Then I'll give my final thoughts in terms of like actually building lineups. So we're gonna go on there. I know Sack asked for it before. Go through a single entry build, probably like a 2 to 3 max sort of thing, maybe a GPP build, just to give you an idea of how I'm building for the large field contest. And we'll do that after the board matures here a little bit. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And in the meantime, we'll talk through some prize pick stuff, which even if you can't play prize picks, cough, cough, Nick, hey, they should still be relatively useful. Okay, there we go. My voice was getting really scratchy there. I guess because I've been talking for like 45 minutes. Especially in the morning, it's probably going to happen, right? You got that morning throat. But let's talk through this board. So, I mean, from what I see right now, they're throwing darts, right? Now, it's the morning, so I guess it makes some sense. Let's see. Did Scotty Scheffler make his? He hasn't hit his putt yet. So they're throwing darts out here this morning. I mean, I'd expect that to continue, but to take an over at 5 birdies is aggressive, right? To make a birdie on a third of your holes, 6 out of 18 is going to be an accomplishment. So for me, I really had my eye on guys like a Corey Connors down here at 3.5 birdies. Guys like Jordan Spieth, they're at 4 birdies, right? Surprise, surprise. I'm on Jordan Spieth birdies because I'm watching it in person, right? Surprise, surprise. But I'm more comfortable with those sort of players than I am the guys here at 5, especially. Now, there's a few guys at 4.5 that I like too. I mean, Scotty Scheffler, right? Based on his start this morning, I think he has to be on that list. But the guys at 5, I'm actually considering fades for, right? Like a Xander Schauffele, John Rahm, right? Especially because, like I mentioned, he's not really that guy that goes out there and makes like 8 or 9 birdies. He's a little bit more consistent, right? He's going to put a lot of pars up on the board just because of how solid his ball striking is. Just, keep in mind that you have to handle these players at the top a little bit differently than the guys at the bottom who, especially like 3.5 for Corey Connors, that's a steal. Absolutely love it. Last year had 4+ birdies in 3 of 4 rounds. To this point, I believe he's 2 for 3 doing that. I think he's a slam dunk pick there at 3.5. So I'll be taking the over on that for sure. Let's check on Scotty. Please tell me you made your putt. He did. He made his 4-foot, 6-inch birdie putt. So you'll love to see that. So he's now at 3 birdies. Got to make 2 more, Scotty. I'm counting on him at 18. So here at 16 or 17, I need you to come through, Scotty. That'd be huge. But yeah, 4.5 birdies once again here for the last round. Based on how he's playing so far this morning, I think that's a smash spot, right? I think that's a spot that, maybe I wasn't so high on last night, but now that we've seen how he's playing, I think I have to be a little bit more bullish about it. And based on how Xander's playing, right, maybe I have to be a little bit more bullish about the under there, just because, he's been a little bit squirrely off the tee. You go over here to fairways hit, you see Xander's at 8.5 fairways. He was at 9 last night. So, it's kind of unfortunate if you're not catching that number before it moved. I feel a little bit better about my exposure to Xander under 9 fairways now. I feel pretty solid about that. Let's talk about the strokes board. It's very similar to what we had here Saturday. There's a lot of fades here that I'm taking. I mean, especially the guys here at like 67.5, even 67 strokes, I'd be considering a few fades at because, we talked about this off the hop. So if you're getting in here late, the scoring average played a lot easier today. I should say yesterday for the third round than what we saw the first 2 days. But for Sunday pin locations, they're definitely going to come back down to earth. And it's been so sunny here. It hardly rained at all yesterday when that storm came through. It's definitely going to be firmer and faster than what we even saw for Saturday. So this scoring average, I expect to be right around 2 under par. I mean, if that's the case, right, I know that these are elite level players. For guys that have any sort of concern whatsoever, anything that we can really nitpick at, I'm going to be fading. So just to give you an idea, right, like a Cameron Smith, he's got that nagging injury, which has kind of affected him. You saw that really for Thursday and Friday that it was. Didn't look like all that much a problem yesterday, but hey, if that rears its ugly head, he's probably going over that, right? Down here at 67, you have like a John Rahm. Like that's, to shoot 66 on this golf course, that's really asking a lot. Sungjae Im, I expect to have a little bit more pressure today than most players. So maybe you fade him at 67.5. This strokes board, even like guys at the bottom, like let's see, like a Adam Scott or a Sepp Straka, you could consider fading here for strokes. I'm expecting it to play significantly more difficult, and especially for these like lower tier guys, they're well below average in terms of their play. So I definitely think that they're fades. Moving over to birdie or better matchups, I'm never a huge fan here, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the birdie or better matchups. There are a few that I think are attractive, so I'll give you 2 here that I do like. The Cantlay over Hideki, I think that makes sense. It's one of like the only times I'll take Patrick Cantlay. I'm not a big fan of him, but you put him against Hideki. I just think that it's a plus EV matchup there. Jordan Spieth over Aaron Wise. Again, surprise, surprise. The Jordan Spieth fanboy is giving you a Jordan Spieth prop. Let's see what else we've got. Rory McIlroy over Cameron Young. I like that one quite a bit. Again, Cameron Young's not playing the best golf right now. Now he's dangerous. It's Cam Young. He's more than capable of firing off a bunch of birdies, but you also got Rory McIlroy on the other side, playing great golf of himself and loves this golf course. And even this Scotty Scheffler over Tony Finau, I'd be taking Scotty Scheffler on, right? That's, by the way, that's more than 2. I don't know what I'm doing there. But yeah, I like all those. Moving over here to greens regulation. Let's see. So the board, I don't love the greens regulation board. There's a few guys I'm considering. Even the fades up top, like taking under 13, there's not that much equity in them getting to 12. Like there's just a ridiculous amount of equity of them hitting 13 greens of regulation. Like it's like by far the most common outcome that you're going to see here for the third round, fourth round. So it's just a fade for me. Down low, I guess there's some overs that I like. Because like I mentioned, 13 out of 18 greens is going to be the mode by far. You're going to have by far more of those than anything else. So maybe a JT Poston right here at 12. If he has that, floor performance, only ends up hitting like 12 fairways or sharp greens, you get away with it, right? If he ends up hitting 13, like a lot of the field is going to, then you end up hitting the over. So it's not the best board, to be honest. Then over here with fairways, you had a few things bumped. Like Xander fairways was bumped down. I guess it'd be unders because it is going to play firmer and faster, particularly the fairways that haven't gotten any sort of moisture. But actually a few overs at the bottom of the board, right? Like for guys that have been driving the ball a little bit more accurate. Sepp Straka comes to mind, Jordan Spieth. Even JT Poston is an above average player when it comes to his driving accuracy, or guys I'd be taking the over on, because to this point, the average fairways hit is like 8.4. So, if these guys are having good driving weeks, we can probably project them to be at least average, even if they're below average drivers long-term, which is only the case there for Jordan Spieth. Poston and Sepp Straka are above average when it comes to their driving accuracy. I'd be taking them. And again, it's an elite level field, right? So it's all relative, right? They're above average for the season for it total, right? Not necessarily in a top 30 type of field, but I am still willing to get there. I think it makes quite a bit of sense from that department. What we'll do now is we'll catch up on chat, see if there are any prize picks questions, and then catch up on the leaderboard, of course, talk through some of that. Xander missed the bird. Okay, that's good to know. Tony says, what is your prize picks for fourth round? I just talked about that. JG says, I'm loaded up on Im. If he wins, I get a new guitar. That's good to hear. Okay. Hey, that works for you, boss. Hey, if Im sucks this weekend, I get a new car, though. So I'm definitely going to be rooting against him. Sorry about that. Vince Snapman says, yes, appreciate you, of course. Gary Kerr says, thoughts on Morikawa. So I played him here for this round, right? He played decently. He shot 5 under par. I'm not the biggest on him for DFS purposes, just because, he's starting, he's like 7 under par, 8 under par at this point. He's got to go out there, shoot 6 or 7 under. Now he's capable of that. there's just guys I like a little bit more random. So I'm going to have Colin Morikawa, but he's not going to be one of my higher exposed plays. In fact, I might be right around the field on him here for my exposure. He's kind of just somebody that I'm going to have just in case, I could see him having a good round, but there's guys I like a little bit more on this slate. So I don't want to talk you off of him because I'm going to have some exposure there, Gary. Just not my favorite play. Not somebody that I'm prioritizing, trying to get into my lineups. DFS says, does the round 4 showdown score plays with placements? So you're talking about placement points, I'm assuming. Yes, it does matter. So if you look at the scoring on there, so if you go to a contest and hit the scoring tab, you'll see that you get 12 points for first place. I believe it's 8 points for second place, like 6.5 or 7 for third, all the way down to half a point for the guys that are going to be in like 25th to 30th place. So it depends on where you finish at the end, right? So you'll start with placement points based on where they are in the leaderboard, but by the end of the day, it's going to change. But the important thing to remember is that it's not a huge part of your score. Now, if you win first place and you get 12, that means a lot, right? To win a large field GPP, you're going to need the winner because the winner's going to put up a pretty solid round too, right? So that's a no-brainer, those 12 points. They actually matter. Outside of that, though, they're almost, I don't want to say irrelevant, but they pretty much are because you get 5.75 points for a birdie. That's what you get for finishing in like 4th place, right? So, a top 5 finish is the equivalent to 1 birdie. So even if you're starting in last place, right, you're the first guy off today, Corey Connors, right, and you shoot 6 under par, you're in the optimal. Guaranteed, especially at his sort of price tag, because you're not going to see a ton of 6 birdie rounds out there, right? He could be 2 above a lot of the guys at the top of the leaderboard, and that could be enough to get him into the optimal. So, I'm a huge proponent of always playing the lower owned guys because that means a lot more than the placement points. Now, if you want to win the large field contest, right, you ideally, right, want a set of 6 players that all have, at least a 3 to 4 under par round. That's what I would expect to be really good today around East Lake, that finish in the top 10, right? So, I mean, if you could choose a guy, right, that shoots -4 and that starts at, maybe tied for 15th, as opposed to somebody who shoots that same score and starts in last place, you obviously want the one that's starting higher up the board, right? But it doesn't always work out like that, right? I mean, there's hindsight's 2020, right? I mean, you're going to know it after the fact, but just understand that it's not all about the placement points. They help. Like if you're starting at the middle of the board, right? It's better than starting at the bottom of the board, but it's not the end all be all. Nick says, do you play Phenol today? I'm okay with it. I'm going to have him in the pool, but I don't love him. He's kind of like a Morikawa for me. Just playing him kind of to play him. Ben Snappin says, last man in, Im or Spieth? Hey, Spieth. Go with Spieth. That's what I'm saying. Nathan says, yikes, Rom just hit a duck. All right, let's look at this leaderboard, by the way. I meant to do that. Scotty made it. Okay, good shit. And Scotty, let's see. He's got an 11-foot look. Okay, dude. Let's make a putt. Let's make a putt, Scotty. And we've got a Xander with a 14-footer too. That would be huge for Scotty. That'd be ridiculously huge for me too. So we still have prize picks up. Let's see if there's any more questions. And that's hilarious that Rom had a duck. I hope the duck's okay, though. I hope the duck's okay. Min Snappin says, fanboy for Spieth today and putting in that fire. Hey, it works out. I'm always a fanboy for Spieth, that's for sure. So let's go over here to DraftKings. So I mentioned that we'll start to talk about some strategy, talk through how we're going to build some of these lineups. By the way, I'll say if you haven't already smashed that like button, make sure to go ahead and do so. We've got over 100 of you in here, so no excuses to not pump up those numbers. Let's get those things rolling. And if you have any questions, so, as we're talking through the strategy here, feel free to go ahead and fire them away, whether it's on players. But even more importantly, I think this is a perfect section for strategy-based questions, right? Where, we talk about lineup builds, construction, that sort of thing, stacking. If you're looking to maybe stack the skill set here for the final round, let's talk about that sort of stuff if we can, right? I'll take other questions, but those would be the sort of questions that are going to perk me up, right? Make me excited to talk about it. So let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit after. Let's see if they make these putts here. So let me just bring it up on Shot Tracker, and because it's going to dictate some of my decision here, right? This could be a break point. They both have a birdie putt. Let's bring up both Shot Trackers. Looks like Xander Schauffele has a par, so he just hardly missed, had a 7-foot par. And let's see what Scotty does here. A birdie would be massive, and it looks like he's going up the hill. Let's see what this read looks like. He's definitely going up the slope because he's there on the front side, and zoom in on it a little bit more. It's a tough read. I mean, you have a little bit of influence over here, which is going to visually make it a little bit deceptive. You have, the influence off the left for sure, which is going to affect the putt. I don't know. I don't think he's going to make this, guys. Yeah, he missed the birdie. That's not surprising. This is a ridiculously tough read. That's something that like people don't understand about golf is like your positioning here matters. If he was over here and all the movement is pretty much predictable here, it's all going like the same direction. That you have that major slope there. The slope over here is really consistent. I'd feel a lot better about that putt than this one, where you have these conflicting break lines. Now they're not using greens reading books, right? They're not going to have this information, but you can see it, right? You can see the brim over here, right? You can see that it's going to have an effect. Let's see. Did he hit his putt? Where are you at? They haven't updated it, but I'm going to take your word on that. So we'll go ahead and, yeah, he missed it. That's a bummer. Hopefully he makes one here on 17. That'd be pretty sweet. But from a strategy perspective, right, we know that Scotty is going to have this massive lead. And, let me go ahead and refresh this so it gives us the live leaderboard too. I guess we'll let Draftkings know about my location. I don't know why they got to know my location. I know why. It's legal reasons, of course. But he's got a 4-shot lead, right? I think Scotty Scheffler is the guy that I'm going to up top. I thought he was going to wake up today, look a lot better, get that swing back working. Again, I thought yesterday was a little bit of a fluke. And it looks like that's happening, right? So, based on what we've seen so far, I'm going to have to run with that narrative where I think that Scotty's going to go out there, win this handedly by like 4 or 5 strokes, shoot something like 4 to 5 under par and, secure his $18 million. He's definitely got the head on his shoulders to get the job done. And again, based on what we've seen so far, I have no issues getting to him there. So 4-shot lead, definitely should be able to hold that one off. So like I'm there at 10,400. Let's see what else we've got. So Xander Schauffele, he's going to be a fade. I'm just going to take Scotty up top and run with it. He's expensive. Before the slate, I thought that Xander would be higher owned than Scotty. That's not the case. Again, he was 1 shot behind of Scotty early on. I thought based on his momentum that he might be higher owned. That is not going to be the case. So I know we had that up a little bit earlier. Scotty is going to be the highest owned player on the slate, but I'm okay with it. Again, he's going to get those 12 placement points, but more importantly, I'm projecting him to shoot like 4 or 5 under par. Like he looks excellent right now. He looks like he did the first 2 days, and he was an absolute killer then. And with an extra 12 points, it's going to be hard not to have him in an optimal lineup today. At least, that's how I'm playing it, right? I'm playing it aggressively. He'll probably be in every lineup that I have. Let's see what else we've got. So Rory McIlroy. Now, I'm not locking him, right? But he's going to be in at least 60% of my lineup. So, I'm imagining most of my builds are going to start, Scotty Scheffler. I think he probably is going to be a lock in my pool. And then Rory McIlroy, right? He's going to be in at least 60% of them. So a lot of my builds, for our last 4 slots, we're going to have right around $7,500. But if you remember earlier, there's a couple of ways to handle this down low. Now, if you're playing in the large field GPP, you got to differentiate yourself a little bit, right? You're looking at crazy high ownership on Scotty, probably at least 50%. I think he'll probably get to that level now that he has this lead. And then Rory McIlroy, you're probably looking at least 35% now that he's up there tied for second place. I still want to play both these guys, but in a large field GPP, I don't want to duplicate myself, right? So a good way to fix that is takes a hit the gala, right? $6,200. He's a pivot down low. The placement points mean a lot less for these guys here at the bottom of the leaderboard. If he shoots like 4, 5 under par bogey free round, that's going to be more than enough. So I like him, that sort of player at 6,200. That puts us at 7,900 remaining, which we could probably swing that at this point. Just to go ahead and put one more here for you. Again, we can't do more than 4 players or else DraftKings gets a little bit mad about it. Let's put Hoagie in there, right? If you do that, you have $8,500 remaining, and you can take two guys that you're really comfortable with here in the 8K range, right? Like a Matty Fitz probably gets a little bit of attention for me. And if you, really wanted to chalk it up, you could finish it off with a Sun GM, right? Which I don't like Sun GM here for the last round. I think he's going to be extremely highly owned, and based on pedigree, I think he's a worse player than everyone else around him. Again, I'm kind of rooting against him too, right? I don't have him in my 4-round lineups. So I wouldn't play Sun GM, but if you wanted to, you could get away with it because you have a Sahith Theegala. You have, he's going to be by far the lowest owned player in this lineup, but I have him in the single digits, which, it might not make you unique right there, but it's going to get you close to it. You might duplicate yourself with a handful of people at the very most. So I like that sort of lineup here for Showdown. And one thing you may have noticed is that a lot of duplicate lineups are winning the GBPs on Showdown, but they're only duplicated a few times, right? So you don't want to be a complete chalk donkey. Take down GBP, duplicated with like 30 other entries. But if you're duplicating yourself with like 3 or 4 other people, you might just have to accept that this week. It's a 30-person player pool, right? It's a lot easier to duplicate yourself with other people, and that's just kind of how it works these sort of weeks. What we'll do now is let's go through a cash build. So if we're doing cash, it's always sort it by score and kind of go that direction. So starting with Scotty, I think you pretty much have to. In terms of a next man in, I think Sanjay M at $8,900 makes a lot of sense for a cash lineup. So, if I was going to get exposure to Sanjay, it'd probably be in that format. In terms of a guy down low, you probably want to be taking Sep. You probably also want to be taking Hideki, and that puts you at $8,700. And if your last 2 spots, you probably figure out who to take, right? I mean, Max Homa is a good candidate for that. You're going to have like 90 something $100 at that point. Take whoever you can fit up top, right? If you have enough for Rory, go ahead and take him. I don't think you do with that lineup. You might have enough for JT. It's going to be pretty close on that. We'll have to see. Just use your salary wisely. Take one of those studs, 1 or 2 of them up top, and focus on the guys at the top of the leaderboard. So for cash, I think it's always pretty straightforward here for Sunday Showdown. And that's how I'd be trading it if I was playing it. But again, not a huge cash player myself. So that's all I've got from the strategy perspective. What we're going to do now is touch on any questions and then hop on out of here. And we'll check up on the leaderboard too, see what's going on. So Scotty's in the fairway. Looks like Xander Schauffele is 2. So we'll have to see if they're able to hit it close on 17. Let's see if there's any questions. So yeah, Tringali is heading to live. Okay. Nathan says, I meant Rom hit a lame shot, not an actual duck, but that would have been funny. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. JG says, would you play Cantlay today? His ball striking has been great. Putting has been horrible. I'm not the biggest Cantlay guy. So I talked about it yesterday. I think that the putting issues are actually a little bit more concerning than people are giving him credit for, because it's not just a 1-round thing, right? It's been sustained over the last few weeks at this point where he's been kind of a lame duck out there with the putting. I worry about that a little bit. So I'm kind of off of him, but I mean, I get it, right? We are looking for guys to bounce back with the putter, and he's more than capable of doing so. I just, it's kind of been more than a 1 or 2 round thing, right? It's been going on for like 6, 7 rounds, which is when it starts to turn into a little bit more of a pattern than just an aberration. DFS says Rom looks like shit. Okay, that's good to know. Ben Snappin says, it seems like Rom is losing his goal. I kind of wish I was watching this now so I could see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, he's 1 over par. Hey, he's got it in the fairway on 18, though, so maybe he can make an eagle there to rectify that. That's kind of funny. And Nick says, I started every one of my lineups, Rom, Rory, and JT. Then you got different lower. But you play for first or last. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, if you're going to avoid the guys up top, like you're just going to have to hope that Scotty Scheffler shoots like over par. Or, maybe not over par, but shoots like 2 under, right? Just goes out there, doesn't have a really good day. Xander too, right? You kind of go out there, hope he shoots like 2 under par, doesn't have that good a day. I mean, it's possible, right? I mean, I just wouldn't project for it. So like you said, you're going for first or last. It makes sense. I know that you're a madman out there, Nick. It makes perfect sense. I'm not being quite as big of a bad man today, just because I kind of have a feeling about Scotty, but hey, I get it. You got to play for first or last, right? As they say, second is the first loser. That's for sure. So that's all we've got here for the stream. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Hopefully one of us can take down a GPP today. We're going to try and do the same sort of live streams next week. Now, it won't be, I shouldn't say next week, for our next tournament, which, I'm thinking for the President's Cup, we should get some sort of DFS contest. So going to try and do something for that. And then next season, guys, it starts up right afterwards, right? We're only going to be off of here for like a week. We'll have a week-long break, then the President's Cup, then I think maybe 1 more week off, and then we're already back into next season. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, the golf season's over. It's kind of disappointing, right? But we'll be right back. So make sure you guys stay tuned to all of that. And most importantly, we have football content starting next week. So I've already been doing a lot of research for the last month, getting completely acclimated with what to expect, getting a lot of my models, a lot of my projection systems all ironed out here for the next season. And we're finally ready to put out content. I'm somebody who won't go out there and just rush content. I have to make sure that I'm completely prepared, and I'm finally at that level now. So I'm looking forward to it, guys. Football content was a lot of fun last year. It's going to be short videos covering the main slate. So I'll kind of talk through like 5 receivers to keep an eye on. Like it'll be like little short videos like that. But most importantly, I do Showdown live streams. Like that is going to be like the huge thing that I'm doing for football. So before lock, usually like 2.5 hours before, when we get the inactives and actives list, I'll go live and I'll talk through the slate. So it'll be like a live Q&A sort of thing. But my thing for Showdown, and the reason why I have a lot of success with it, is I play different scenarios, different game scripts. And with my optimizer, with my system, I actually run like different subsets of projections. And when I'm building my lineups, I'll build like 15 lineups with a certain subset of projections. And, it's going to be a little bit complicated for people that haven't been here before, but it, really treats me well. It's been a breadwinner for me. That's why I really focus on Showdown. So I'm excited to go out there and bring that process to you guys, particularly for guys that haven't been here before. So excited for that. Best of luck here with all of your round 4 lineups. And make sure you hit that like button before you hop on out of here. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend you go out and do that too. And